But look, what happens at Gucci is extremely important for Kering, because Gucci makes more than about 60% of all the sales of the group and almost 3/4 of the operating profit last year. So what happens with that brand is extremely important, and it's been incredibly successful, Gucci, for the past few years. Since 2015, I had a rebrand of Gucci, and it's been very, very successful. But of course, Kering is very reliant on that brand, and so whether there was a concern from investors whether Gucci would go out of fashion at some point and what that would mean for Kering. And Kering has been investing heavily in beefing up some of the other brands and refreshing them as well, to kind of reduce a little bit their reliance on Gucci, despite its success, to prepare for what they had called for several quarters, a sort of normalization of the sales at Gucci, a soft landing. And it's been working, because some of their brands like Yves Saint Laurent, Bottega Veneta have done extremely well. Sales at Yves Saint Laurent up 28% in Q3, but the trend at Gucci is definitely slowing. We saw the sales there were at 3.8% on a comparable basis in the third quarter. That was way below expectation. There's a question, is it just a blip or is it deeper trends at Gucci? They mentioned some of the COVID restrictions in Asia has impacted sales in particular. They said retail sales for Gucci were down 3% in Q3. But Kering saying this is just a blip. They have a few events coming in Q4, and they expect there what they call a very intense quarter for the brand. Yeah, this Aria collection that is coming out has been very much expected, and so actually some consumer customers have been holding back spending, waiting for that collection that just launched in October. It had a very good reception for that collection. You have a Gucci and Balenciaga collaboration coming out, another Kering house there. There's also been very much expected, and a House of Gucci movie about Ridley Scott with an all-star cast, they say could give extra exposure to the brand and put it at the forefront. So they expect Q4 to do better. They're putting also extra investments that could hit operating profit margins just in second half because of these heavy investments. So according to Kering, it's just a blip, but certainly investors are concerned that there are deeper trends there potentially at Gucci. This impact in Asia wasn't as heavy at LVMH, competitor that we reported just a couple of days ago. Didn't see the same trends as we saw at Gucci. So there's a little bit of nervousness there from investors also, because Gucci is very reliant on the Asian consumers. We know there's been this common prosperity policy announced by the Chinese government, and how this will impact. We know it has impacted luxury stocks quite heavily in the past few weeks, and the slower economic growth in China as well, as we saw from the GDP numbers earlier in the week. So all these little concerns there coming up, and that's why we see these Kering shares lower on the French market, right at the bottom of the CAC 40, down 3.8%.